Hi, Bill Henshaw here again, the Constitutional Coop headquarters, with more videos on recent news and updates. And as has just been announced, many of you may have heard that good old George Chauvin got 22 and a half years, for the quote unquote manslaughter, which looked a whole lot to me like first degree murder of George Floyd. But it's a safe bet because a lot's going to happen in this case. Um, and among other things, I think it's going to be quietly reversed on appeal later for at least juror misconduct and maybe some other things that went on there. One reason that I have not yet heard any loud complaints from the long blue line of law enforcement thugs over this sentence, because I think everybody knows that that's what's likely to happen. So that said, and as I've said on earlier videos about this subject, if I was handling the case for Chauvin, I think would have walked out of there a free man. But that's because the court didn't have jurisdiction, just like it doesn't have in your case either. Not a judicial court. And what does the Constitution say about that? Article 1, Section 9 and or 10. Bills of attainder, taking of life, liberty, or property without judicial process. That's what's happened here. And without, by the way, a trial by jury being involved, even though it may have looked like there was one. Just as the case in California, they have no qualified members of the jury pool in Minnesota either. See you later. It doesn't work that way because they don't recognize states, they don't recognize state citizens, and there's no way to get a jury of one's peers, let alone an educated, competent jury that will understand our theory of the case. And that's what I can help you people with a lot out there because you end up putting in what at the moment are almost 600 jury instructions. And before July is over, I think it's going to be more than 700. And they get denied. And I've had this happen at the stroke of a pen by one of these black robed Jesuit bastards. I mean, we can't get our theory of the case to the jury. That's a directed verdict of guilt. And I believe the Supreme Court, especially with very pleasant goings on there in the last few weeks, will be very likely to respond positively to a claim like that because their backs are up with the Biden court packing claim. We won't go into that right now, but trust me, for the first time in 150 years, these bastards may actually be able to do their job or wanting to do it to say what the law is. Back to Chauvin and all for the moment. We'll see what develops there. Um, again, if we would have had a common law court there, with the common law jury, he would have been lucky to come out of there with 45 or 50 years for what really should be first degree murder. And it may have been more than that if you use the issues that I do, namely that at the time they made the arrest, they weren't acting in any official capacity because all of these statutes on the books, as I just said earlier in this video, null and void, nunc pro tunc ab initio as bills of attainder. Court doesn't have jurisdiction. And the Constitution says that we have a right to self-defense. That, by the way, comes up under a decision called Bad Elk v. United States 177 U.S. 529. Send me an email for information on my materials at unincourt@gmail.com, and I'll get you some excerpts from that case and some other cases, and also information on my modestly priced constitutional defense document packets, where we can take it to them and make it stick. And I believe now, in my fifth decade here, we've finally gotten to the point where we're going to be able to do it because we can say it with attitude, with authority, and now with backing from the U.S. Supreme Court, otherwise known as their bosses, but our agents. Oh, we're not used to thinking it like that, are we? But think about that. I mean, we the people that ordained and established this Constitution, created the whole thing. All these government actors are our agents, principal and agent. We tell them what to do, not the other way around. And that's the big deal with the 14th Amendment. And as you'll learn from acquiring my materials, send me an email, unincourt@gmail.com. 14th Amendment has never existed. And one of the reasons for it is that none of the people that voted to ratify it, and none of them were qualified to do so, a story for another day, had any idea what the real agenda of that amendment was. uh, principally to make citizens out of artificial corporate entities. And this is the same citizenship they think you and I have, the only citizenship they recognize, and the same citizenship that you get out there if you're born in the Mariana Islands, Guam, Puerto Rico, or any of these insular territories. It doesn't work like this. And that's the major objection, especially with the 14th Amendment. Those of you people with civil rights and all this crap, even if you rely on it in good faith, it doesn't matter because you're actively aiding and abetting those whose agenda is the overthrow of the Constitution and laws of the United States. That's treason. And those people, by the way, the New York banksters at 120 Broadway, New York, New York. And I'll have a lot more to say about that in an upcoming video. So that said, we'll see what develops with Chauvin. I expect the appeal won't even be decided this year. Uh, they'll give it a few months to cool off, and they'll come back and reverse it on some grounds. Probably calling for a retrial, and there might in fact be, a plea deal in the second event rather than go through a trial again. Who knows about that? I wouldn't be surprised. But I personally think Chauvin was guilty as hell, and in the common law court there wouldn't have been any problem about it. It's just unfortunately we don't have any of those at this point. That's what I'm working very hard to get back to. So that said, what we, as I'm saying in all my videos now, what we all have to do here is work together. Cut out this divide and conquer crap they've been doing for 150 years and probably more than that, and go in there with the real issues, in the real courts and with real status and standing, and all of us can do it. To be sure, we are the critical race here. Don't make any misunderstandings about where I'm coming from. Is that white racist? Maybe it is, but the plain fact of the matter is, the body politic here, the sovereign body politic, free white male 21. Like it or not, that's the way it's going to be until the Constitution is ratified in accordance with that document, not in contravention of it. That's the big deal. But we can still all work together and get some amazing things done. So that said, remember to like the video, subscribe, tell your friends, get the word out. The quicker we start doing this across the board and the more of us that start doing it, the quicker we get these bastards off our back. Thank you.